why Calgary? It was slow, it was bureaucratic. We're a corporate innovation and venture building company. We start small, we move quick. A builder, self-taught programmer. Innovation comes from everywhere, and it comes from diverse experiences, cultures, and perspectives.
Clark, thank you so much for joining. Welcome to Between Meetings.
Yeah, thank you for having me. This is gonna be fun.
As usual, we start with the, I would say, traditional question. What's your background and how did you kick off your professional career, and what did you study before that?
Yeah, I mean, I don't really think I have like a hard starting point. I've always been a bit of a entrepreneur, even when I was a teenager. I learned how to code by myself, self-taught programmer. And basically I wanted to make some money as a teenager, so I started building websites and apps and different platforms as a child, and just kind of continued that process. I went to school for quantitative finance at the University of Alberta in Edmonton, so I did a few years there. So I kind of, combined my, software engineering experience with the kind of financial aspects of building ventures, and I've gone through a few different startups in my past, and kind of coming off of a previous exit, I was kind of exploring, what I want to do next. I started doing some consulting for some local companies here as well as abroad, and kind of just grew from there. And really, I found the big gap was just on the innovation side for corporates. It was slow, it was bureaucratic, it went against their core business, and honestly, it just felt like such a great opportunity and potential to actually make a positive impact. And so we've been basically helping corporates from day one with their corporate innovation initiatives, identifying new opportunities in the market for them, designing new business models, validating that with real customers and partners, and build really awesome digital products. We're really focused on creating that end-to-end solution where not only are we able to provide, validated and refined strategies, but we're actually able to then execute with our partners on those really cool ventures. And so, today we work with over 70 different corporates and a good handful of different startups in our portfolio now. We're industry agnostic, but primarily focusing on kind of enterprise software, building and launching really cool ventures.
That's super cool. So you're CEO of Motiv nowadays?
Yeah.
Fast forward, right? I'm just curious to know more about what was the tipping point, a trigger for you to start the company?
Yeah, again, it was just, it was kind of just organic, right? I was really just trying to find kind of the next opportunity or next idea that I wanted to work on. And I guess, organically it kind of just, with right timing with the tech industry growing here in Alberta and as well as everywhere else in the world, the opportunity was not to build a single product or solution, and it was really to build a solution for building all sorts of different ventures. And so it kind of fell in place, honestly, pretty organically. And so we've been doing that, and obviously we've continued to refine our value proposition and our approach and developing our technologies to where it is today. I would say the tipping point is really we had a few nice wins in the first few years of our business, and that really drove some recognition abroad. So that really helped kind of build the brand and build some of the awareness at the early stages. And since then, we've just been heads down, continue to refine our craft and just making sure that we're generating real value into the real world and creating good solutions for end users and for our partners, and just continue to do that every day.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So there is the saying that it takes a hustler builder and a hipster to build a company, successful company.
Right.
It looks like you wear at least two hats. One of them is builder because you have engineering or software development background, and you are the CEO, you are the face of the company. So where do you feel most at home, and how do you compensate for other aspects of the team that you not probably naturally embody?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I would say out of those three, you said builder, hustler, hipster.
Yeah.
I would say I'm definitely like a builder by nature. I like to tinker. I like to build things. I like to come up with new ideas and test them, and whether it works or not, that's okay. It's a learning experience regardless. I think the hustler side is definitely forced and taught. I think my team does an awesome job at that, honestly, in promoting our brand and promoting our business and developing new partnerships and relationships. So I'm probably the furthest from a hustler. I probably would give 100% of my credit to our team. Yeah, and I mean, on the hipster side, I would say, I'm probably not the most creative, I'll be honest. I'm more of an engineer than kind of an artist, but yeah, again, I mean, when it comes to those gaps, right? I mean, it was really apparent, to be a venture builder, you need a end-to-end comprehensive team supporting all of the different capabilities that you need to provide in order to be successful. So building a strong team, building and fostering a strong team culture has been incredibly important for us. And honestly, it's I couldn't have done any of this by myself.
Speaking of each team, right? So definitely, it's a key to growth, to scale, and to successful business. By the end of the day, so it's quite interesting that innovation usually, often thrives on diversity, and you have very diverse team. I know a few team members. They're coming from different countries, and it's not big surprise that there are lots of international teams in Canada because Canada is an immigrant country. But I'm just curious to know how much intentional of those choices when you hire people and you think about the innovation.
We have a very diverse team. To be honest with you, it wasn't really done on purpose. Again, it was really just organic that it kind of went that way. But we're extremely thankful and grateful for that. Innovation comes from everywhere, and it comes from diverse experiences, cultures, and perspectives. I think I guess in the nature of our business, it naturally, I think, benefits from a really diverse team, and we've been incredibly fortunate to build our team in that way. And the benefits that we get from the diverse perspectives of our team members, it's so amazing to hear their kind of stories and their previous experiences, and how it can translate to some of the projects and initiatives that we're working on today. It's really cool. Yeah.
What are some challenges maybe associated with having team members from so many different countries? Are there any?
I wouldn't say like challenges, but definitely, with any team, I would say communication is always the highest priority and right. Key metric for success. And so, for sure, when you have some different cultures that can collide, it's important that we're really direct and transparent in our communication. So that's been definitely an interesting kind of mix into our day-to-day. With building ventures and having some fairly large stakes in some of our portfolio companies, of course things naturally will get heated here and there. But it's been generally speaking really awesome. I always chat with the team, and they share their travel experiences and what they've done in the past. Like we've got a professional chef for one. We have a marine biologist who's now a product manager on our team, and we've had so many interesting, diverse backgrounds, and they've been able to work together so well and create these awesome solutions. So honestly, it's been almost nothing but positive, in perspective to whatever potential downsides there might be.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I traveled and lived and worked in different countries across different continents, and I observed that innovation just doesn't travel evenly. You go to one country, you see cool stuff, and you think like, this is so smart, this is so convenient, and then you go to a different country and the same innovation is just not adopted. And there are multiple reasons why it's happening.
Yeah.
Habits, resistance to change.
Yeah. Risk
and
tolerance.
Also risk tolerance, and even it comes down to basic values, right? So you work a lot with the innovation, and probably you have lots of clients come up with great innovative solutions, but then when you test and then you understand that it's not going to work. So can you think about a couple of examples of those situations, and why, if you know why the reasons it didn't take off?
Yeah, most of the reasons has to do with change management, to one degree or another. Different industries, different countries. There's definitely a different kind of risk appetite and approach to innovation differs. I think it's part of our team's responsibility to actually understand those kind of nuances in every single scenario to better understand our approach for innovation and venture building. That's something that we put a lot of serious effort into understanding. Like the way that we will work on an innovation project in oil and gas in Alberta, for instance, will be quite different from the way that we will work on a health tech innovation in Boston, for example. And so it's about dialing in kind of and understanding your partners and your stakeholders and speaking their language, right? There's no one particular that's better or worse. It's just all in the nuance. However, with that being said, is at the end of the day, I don't think it's much of a debate anymore whether an organization should innovate or not. I think the answer is always you need to innovate, always. It's just to what degree and in what direction that the innovation should be focused around.
Interesting. Staying on this same topic, right? Innovation. You do a lot of corporate innovation, and I think it might be something new for lots of people. So if you can, first of all, just briefly describe what corporate innovation is. Yeah. And the second thing, how does corporate innovation look like in 2025? Because I did a little bit of corporate innovation back in 2017, and I remember lots of companies were throwing money at running hackathons, right? And just attracting people and thinking about the crazy ideas over the weekend, but there is like no follow-up happening after that following week. And then I remember it was as well like sprints, right? And they just get people together working on a 7-day sprint. So it's evolving, it's changing. So how do you work now with the corporate clients?
Yeah, so we're really focused on outcomes-driven innovation. So from the very beginning, depending on the maturity of an organization, but starting in the very beginning, we might start with an innovation assessment, right? To understand kind of what is the organization's or our business units' innovation maturity, what are the potential gaps, what are their objectives and future vision when it relates to innovation. And so we always kind of start with that assessment. From there, we will then help our partners with developing a innovation strategy with a roadmap, right? We believe that without a roadmap, having a strategy is just not actionable and potentially not feasible. And so it just ends up being slide decks sitting on their desks for however many years it is, right? And they just kind of forget about it. So we really focus on tangible, actionable steps to start to develop a culture of innovation within the organization. From there, it gets actually quite flexible and creative in the different ways that we can work. Open innovation challenges, hackathons, that's definitely one aspect and probably one of the more commonly known types of programs when it comes to corporate innovation. But then there's, also corporate venture building, corporate venture clienting, sourcing and partnering with other startups, corporate venture capital, entrepreneurship programs, and it really just depends on kind of the what is the right approach for that particular organization at that particular point in time. We say that we're a corporate innovation and venture building company. So why we say that is, the kind of beginning stages of our relationship is really focusing on the corporate innovation side, and as we kind of work towards building a more mature innovation program within the organization, as we identify now new opportunities for developing new products or solutions, that's kind of where we enter that venture building stage. So now we're ideating and validating new business opportunities. We're refining the business model. We're helping our partners now with product design and development, go-to-market, commercialization, and growth of these new ventures. And so there's a lot of different ways that we can do this. And so it just really, again, depends on what is the overarching vision of the corporate innovation program, and using that as a North Star to determine kind of how we want to proceed next. It's kind of like a match, like a chess match, right? Mm-hmm. You've got some kind of common opening moves, right, which are fairly normal, which are fairly standard and known. But then, of course, as the match progresses, there could be near infinite different combinations of moves that you can take. And I think that's what we really love about corporate innovation and venture building, is because of those opportunities for us to basically create such novel, innovative, or disruptive solutions.
How resistant big corporates to innovation? I think they realize that they need to innovate, obviously, mm-hmm. right? But what it takes to actually get them on board with projects? Yeah,
for sure. I mean, I think in 2025, corporations know they need to innovate. At the end of the day, change management, risk is always going to be kind of the primary challenges and concerns in these larger organizations. However, at this point, they know they need to start somewhere, mm-hmm. and we've felt there has been quite a different shift in attitude over the last couple of years around innovation. Teams are much more open to exploring and investing in innovation initiatives. So that's been really promising. I think with some of the recent advancements in technology, generative AI being one of probably the most known, it's really kind of started to open the door within these organizations and changing their minds and attitudes around innovation. I mean, I think even with what you can do with generative AI very, very quickly, it's so profound that it's impossible, I think, once you try it, to just simply ignore it afterwards.
What's the usual timeline for the project with corporates? We are talking about months or years?
For us, we're talking about months. We're really focused on accelerating and de-risking those innovation and venture building opportunities. That's what I would say is really our value proposition. We're looking at our frameworks and processes and finding every bottleneck in that process to be able to build solutions and refine it further. I think building confidence comes from finding the low-hanging fruit, getting some quick wins, building confidence within the team and the organization, and showing measurable, tangible return on investments on these initiatives. We start small, we move quick, we find the easy wins, and as we start to build more confidence, we're able to explore a wider kind of surface area of different opportunities. It's interesting. You really start to see like the organization's attitudes start to shift after a while. So we love seeing that.
That's pretty cool. I'm just curious as well, whenever you work with a new client, right? So they have a number of needs, right? So and necessarily we probably don't have the right expertise on the team. So what do you do in those situations where you need to bring external?
Yeah, I mean, we believe in a rising tides floats all boats approach. We're constantly building relationships, strengthening our relationships within the ecosystem. I think just being a venture builder, are very fortunate to be able to connect with startups, with corporates, with the public sector, nonprofits, with post-secondary institutions, other innovation hubs, investors, family offices, venture capital, private equity. And so we understand that we're not going to be able to build and do everything ourselves. And we need to engage with the ecosystem and with the community to be able to truly scale these solutions into the market. And so we are always actively investing in building those relationships and keeping a kind of pulse on what is going on around us, and as well as abroad, because I think there's a lot of learnings that we can take from other groups here and around the world.
And I can second that because as a part of the ecosystem, I see a lot Motiv.
Nice.
Joining events, sponsoring, supporting, mentoring, speaking, so which is amazing. So speaking of which, right, the ecosystem and the importance of it, you started back 2013 or
2013, yeah.
2013. So since then, how the ecosystem evolved? And I'm just curious because you work with the corporates, and Calgary probably not the biggest city in terms of the number of corporates here. So have you ever thought about moving the team to a bigger ecosystems like Toronto, Vancouver?
Yeah, I mean, since 2013, it's to now, it's very different. The ecosystem and where it started from versus where it's at today. I mean, it's absolutely night and day. We've seen so much tremendous growth in this ecosystem in technology and innovation, and as well as in other industries and sectors here in the city as well. And we're super happy to see that. I mean, it's good for business, it's good for the community, it's good for everyone. It's something that we're very proud of to be a part of, and hopefully, we have a little bit of impact there as well. We get this question a lot in terms of why Calgary, and have you considered moving to the US or to the East and in Toronto and so on? And I mean, to be honest with you, we have considered it. I mean, we do have business in the US, we do have business in the East Coast. But with that being said, we believe that our head office will continue to remain in Calgary. From a professional perspective and from a personal life perspective, it's got just the perfect balance of everything, and so it's a great environment to be in. Other cities are great too. There's nothing wrong with them. We have a lot of business in Miami, in Houston, in San Francisco, in San Diego, in Portland, in Boston, in Toronto, Vancouver as well. But there's just always something that is pulling us back home into Calgary, and we see ourselves here for however long. Yeah.
Amazing. Well, I'm really glad to hear that Motiv will remain and make a change here in Calgary. So, Clark, thank you so much for all the sharings, for all the insights. It's very interesting. Now I know more about Motiv and the story behind it, and look forward to seeing you at the different events soon.
Cool. Sounds good.